Good morning, third grade. I hope you're having a great e-learning day, a great day at home. We are going to do some traditional literature again today. We are on day 4. So today we're going to be comparing um, fairy tales that are from different countries. So we'll be comparing the version we know, the United States version, to another country's version. Okay? But before we can do that, let's talk about our objectives. So we will be able to recount or retell stories. Today, specifically, we're going to be doing the fairy tale Cinderella from different cultures. Okay, we'll be able to determine the central message, so the meaning of the story, the lesson that you and the character learn, which is also the moral, and explain how it is conveyed in details. So, oops, I went too far. Let me move this quick. So, how many versions of Cinderella do you know? How many do you know of? We've talked about a few, but if you're being honest, how many do you really know? My guess is probably not very many. Same with me before I started to teach this lesson and this idea to students. So let's review. Fairy tales consist of a specific setting. Okay, so they're told from a long time ago. Usually the place is far, far away, or a fairyland. Often start with once upon a time and it ends with and they lived happily ever after. Okay, that's typically the setting, the where and when it takes place. Now the characters, okay, tell a story about equality. They want the characters to be equal. They include maybe a talking animal or character with a special magical power. Okay, they have both good and evil characters. Okay, so in Cinderella, there's the evil stepsisters. The good character would be Cinderella, fairy godmother. Okay. So, some common story elements, if we're thinking, would be plot. So, if we're comparing the traditional Cinderella to one from another culture, today I'm going to be reading Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters. So, it's an African fairy tale. I'm thinking, and it should have the same plot, similar characters, repetition or patterns, setting, and theme. Okay, so the same lesson that you're learning. I want you to pay close attention to repetition and patterns. A lot of times fairy tales have things come in a pattern or they repeat things over and over. Okay? So plot. It's a sequence of events in a story that revolves around a conflict or a problem. In literature, events unfold quickly and predictably, much easier than in like our longer stories. So when we were reading realistic fiction, it kind of took a long time to get through that plot or the events in a story. Fairy tales, much quicker. It goes very quick. They're very short. I want you to notice the way the events are presented in order. The main character solves their problem with help of maybe magic, and it's a really satisfying conclusion or end to the problem. Okay? Central message, lesson, moral, all mean the same thing. What is it? How can you find it? What does it tell you? And how can you support it? So thinking about the central message, it's what you and the character learn from the story. Okay? It's what you and the character learn. Okay? These are all different fairy tales from different countries. We've got the Irish Cinderella, the Orphan from Greece, Mufaro's Beautiful Daughter, that's what I'm going to read, and the Gospel Cinderella, Adelita, which is a Mexican Cinderella story, the rough-faced girl, that is a Native American story of Cinderella. Okay. I am going to skip this one because I'm going to read Mufaro's Beautiful Daughter. And what you're going to end up doing for your activity today is you are going to compare Mufaro's Beautiful Daughter, the one I read to you, to traditional Cinderella. Okay, now, in your epic, I sent you the traditional Cinderella story. And it's a read to me, so you can listen to it if you'd like. Okay, but you're gonna complete this thinking map comparing Mufaro's beautiful daughters to the traditional Cinderella. Remember, one story will go on one side, the other story will go on the other side, and the similarities will go in the middle. Okay, that's what you're going to do. Except you're not doing the Korean version. I apologize. You're going to do this African version. Okay, and the reason we're doing that is we're going to see if there's similarities in plot, setting, moral, if those really important elements of fairy tales, if they're similar in both. Okay, so your seesaw activity will be just this thinking map, and you're just going to go ahead and list out the similarities and then create the differences on the outside. Okay, you need to listen to the epic traditional version first, as well as listen to Mufaro's beautiful daughter.